Good morning. Welcome back to another short sermon. Today we're going to be talking about the blessings of being the temple. We're going to start in 2 Samuel chapter 6. We'll start in verse 1. Then David again gathered all the elite troops in Israel, 30,000 in all. He led them to Bela of Judah, to bring them to the ark of God, which bears the name of the Lord of heaven's armies, who is enthroned between the cherubim. They placed the ark of God on a new cart and brought it to Abinadab's house, which was on a hill. Uzziah and Ahiah, Abinadab's sons, were guiding the cart that carried the ark of God. Ahio walked in front of the ark. David and all the people of Israel were celebrating before the Lord, singing songs and playing all kinds of musical instruments, lyres, harps, tambourines, castanets, cymbals. But they arrived at the threshing floor of Nacon. The oxen stumbled, and Uzziah reached out his hand and steadied the ark of God. Then the Lord's anger was aroused against Uzziah, and God struck him dead because of this. So Uzziah died right there beside the ark of God. So right here, David is trying to move the ark back to his house, back to Jerusalem, where the ark belongs. But instead then doing what they would usually do and have the poles with the priest carrying it, they didn't have enough people for that. So they put it on a cart and they had it wheeled down, pulled by an oxen. But as the cart tipped, the ark began to slip. So Uzziah, he reached out his hand to catch the ark, but because he touched it, he died. Because that was the presence of God. So then, continuing in verse 9, David was now afraid of the Lord. He asked, "How can I ever bring the ark of the Lord back into my care?" So David decided not to move the ark of the Lord into the city of David. Instead, he took it to the house of Obadiah of Gath. The ark of the Lord remained there in Obadiah's house for 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obadiah and his entire household. Then King David was told that the Lord blessed Obadiah's household and everything he has because of the ark of God. I want to pause there. So they left the ark in Obadiah's house just to stay there because they couldn't move it fully. And because the ark was there, Obadiah was blessed in everything. His crops were greater than everyone else's crops. His livestock was greater than everyone else's livestock. He was imagine being a normal guy, but then the Ark of the Covenant, they decide to leave in your house, and so you just become this successful person overnight. That is what was happening. Think about this. Verse 12, King David was told the Lord bless Obadiah. He became so much more blessed, he became so much more successful that the king heard about it. That the king heard, hey, this guy that you left the ark in, he just became rich. He became more successful than anyone else in the land just because you put the Ark of the Covenant in his house. The Ark of the Covenant is the presence of God. So when he had the presence of God in his house, he was blessed in everything he did. So David went there and brought the ark of God from the house of Obadiah to the city of David with great celebration. After the men who were carrying the ark of the Lord had gone 6 steps, David sacrificed a bull and fattened calf, and David danced before the Lord with all his might, wearing a priestly garment. So David and all the people of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouts of joy and blowing rams. So now I want to go back to Genesis chapter 39. This is a part of Joseph's story. Joseph, he was sold into slavery by his brothers who hated him because he was favored greater by his father, and he had dreams that he would roll over his brothers and his brothers would bow down to him. So they decided to kill him. But one brother, the oldest brother, stood up and said, "No, we shouldn't kill him. We should just throw him into a well." But he actually planned to come back and rescue him. But after he left, his brothers saw some traitors, and so instead of throwing him into the well like they had originally planned, they sold him into slavery. And then we get here. When Joseph was taken to Egypt by Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was the captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. The Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did, as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did. This pleased Potiphar, so he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. See, the presence of God was with Joseph, and so he was blessed in everything he did. Doesn't that sound familiar to the story of Obadiah? When the Ark of the Covenant, when the presence of God was in his house, he succeeded. Well, Joseph, he had the presence of God with him. He was the descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and he was Jacob's, Israel's son. So because he had the presence of God with him, he succeeded in everything he did. And it was more than all of Potiphar's other servants, right? It doesn't say how many he might have had, but based on his description that he was the captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. He would probably have many servants, but he noticed Joseph. Because he had the presence of God in him, he was blessed and highly favored. He succeeded in everything he did. So he noticed him, and he put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned, because he knew if it was in his hands and the hands of his God, that he would be blessed and he would succeed in everything he did. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sakes. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished. So Potiphar gave Joseph complete administration responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing except what kind of food to eat. Potiphar became so successful because of Joseph that he wasn't worried about money. He had plenty of money. All his crops, they were bigger. They were better than any other crops. All of his land was bigger and better. His affairs ran smoothly. He had business deals, and they just were so easy because Joseph ran them, and Joseph succeeded in everything he did because of God's presence in him. Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man, and Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. "Come and sleep with me," she demanded, but Joseph refused. "Look," he told her, "my master trusts me with everything in the entire household. No one here has more authority than I do. He has held back nothing from me except for you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be great sin against God." So she kept putting pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her, and he kept out of her way as much as possible. One day, however, no one else was around. When he went to do his work, she came and grabbed him by his cloak, she demanding, "Come and sleep with me." Joseph tore himself away, but he left his cloak in her hand and ran from the house. When she saw that she was holding the cloak, she fled, and she called for her servants. Soon all the men came rushing. Look, she said, "my husband has brought this Hebrew slave here to make fools of us. He came into my room to rape me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream, he ran outside and got away. But he left his cloak behind me." She kept the cloak with her until her husband came home. She told him her story. "That Hebrew slave you brought into our household tried to come in and fool around with me," she said, "but I screamed and he ran outside, leaving his cloak with me." Potiphar was furious when he heard his wife's story about Joseph had treated her. So he took Joseph and threw him into prison, where the king's prisoners were held, and there he remained. But the Lord was with Joseph in prison, and showed him faithful love. And the Lord made Joseph a favorite with the prison warden. Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of other prisoners and over everything that happened in prison. The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. Even when Joseph was in prison, he succeeded in everything he did. The warden noticed, wow, this prisoner, he's faithful. He's succeeding in everything he did. So he put him in charge of the other prisoners. The warden was so impressed by Joseph because he had the presence of God in him and he succeeded in everything he did. So how does this apply to us? Well, in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 16 through 17, it says this: "Don't you realize that all of you together are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God lives in you? God will destroy anyone who destroys this temple, for God's temple is holy, and you are that temple." So we are the temple of God now. We have the presence of God dwelling in us. So why should we not succeed in everything we do? Now, this doesn't mean we won't have trials. This doesn't mean we won't struggle. But God is with us, and if we trust Him and if we follow Him, we will be blessed. We will be highly favored. We will succeed in everything we do. This happens over and over and over again. If we just listen to God, if we just listen to the Holy Spirit, if we just let Him lead us, He will lead us into abundance. He will lead us into fruitfulness. Now, I don't want this to get confused with prosperity gospel. Prosperity gospel says I'm following God so I can be prosperous. I'm following God for the benefits of making money. If you ever heard, don't treat God like a vending machine. We're not following God for rewards of blessings. We're not following God for rewards of success. But that doesn't mean we won't have blessings. That doesn't mean we won't have success. That doesn't mean we won't have abundance. The question is, are you worried about getting stuff, or are you worried about the Father? Are you treating God like a vending machine who gives you stuff? Or are you treating Him like the Father who provides you things? There's a difference between just getting stuff from God and only coming Him, putting in your change and saying, here, I did this, now you have to bless me. Instead, it's, Father, look at what I did. Can I have help with this? Can I help with that? Can you bless me in this way? But the point of this relationship isn't to get that, but to say you can't get that. You're putting down the privilege of being a child of God. We are childs of the Most High God. We are a royal priesthood. We are princes and princesses of the Most High King, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. I'm not saying you need to be this rich billionaire. I'm saying follow Him and you will be successful in everything you do. And you need to be able to define success. Success is not being the world's favorite. Success is not having all the money. It's not having all the cars. It's not having all the things. Success is when you follow Jesus, and in that you have no worries about life because He provides you with everything you need. Success is going around life not worrying about tomorrow because God will provide you for tomorrow. Don't worry. Even the birds of the air, they do not sow, they do not reap, they do not harvest, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. The lilies of the valley, though they do not work, God clothes them in beauty and splendor. How much more will God provide for you? How much more will God take care of you? So we need to not have this just getting by, barely enough. We need to be ready to succeed in everything we do, just like Obadiah, just like Joseph, just like many other people in the Bible. They succeed in everything they do when they have the presence of God with them, when they follow God's voice, when they are listening to God and following his example. They succeed and they are blessed in everything they do. So I encourage you, listen to the voice of God. Listen to what he says and obey him. And then you will be blessed and you will succeed in everything you do. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. God bless.